Hello, this is Pharaoh Vincent with Nation 473. I got a request for some information that I thought would be a really good topic for a video. And specifically, somebody had asked me the question, right? Made a comment. And the comment was, I just recently picked up this game. What's the point? And I thought, that question's really a good one to answer because there's some very honest things we can say about what the point of this game is. But to take it from a non-jaded or a non kind of upset mind space, right? What is the actual point of AOZ? So I got into AOZ because I saw a video showing off the tower defense. And I went, that looks cool. Now, mind you, the video that I saw with the tower defense is nothing like the tower defense in this actual game. In fact, the tower defense aspect of AOZ is negligible at best. I've maxed out all of the levels long ago. I mean, I haven't played classic zombies in over a year, right? All I do is infinite zombies once a week. And that's as close to tower defense as I get in AOZ. But, as we all play the game, we're going to get in there, we're going to realize the war game aspect, and we're going to get to this screen here, and we're going to get intimidated, right? I remember looking at the map for the first time following that Doomsday challenge on a brand new city and realizing, man, there's a ton of bots around. I genuinely didn't think these were all other players. So every city I saw, I just assumed was a bot. Wasn't active. Wasn't real. As time went on, I realized it was real. And there's actual people playing all of these cities. And that's when we get into the social aspect of this game. So what's the point of AOZ? It's your alliance. It's the people you meet. Right? It's the individuals that you converse with. It's the scary titans of the world that are really cool people. That's the point. Everything else is a bunch of graphics overlaid on top of a social experience. But I feel like that answer doesn't answer that individual's question, which is kind of, what am I doing? I'm going to assume they're on a brand new nation. They're a brand new player. So let's talk about the cycle. AOZ has a clear cycle. Every nation goes through it. Every nation will deal with it. At the earliest stage of a nation, there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of people jumping around alliances. There's a lot of flags being placed. People starting to understand the war aspect. There's tons of tile collisions. It's kind of chaos. As the world settles, a few alliances are going to start to try to corral everything in and make it their own. And they're going to be picking up various resources. Most specifically, they're going to be going for these, which are elite mines. Elite mines are very popular early on because you need them in order to gain resources, and it's one of the most efficient ways of gaining resources. You're also going to be completing your kind of nation challenges. Those will naturally complete over time. It's not a rush. It's not something you have to do right away. But then you're going to start getting these things, right? Like the Capitol buildings and the mayor buildings, for lack of a better phrase, right? The mega cities. And so then there's kind of this objective rush of being able to control these objectives, right? This is only important for the first couple of weeks. By the time the presidency unlocks, most nations will have already figured out a rotation because they're not going to want to keep fighting after the mega cities. And somebody gets to be president once a week. So every 2 weeks, you have a mayor or governor from your mega city. Every week, you're going to have a new president. And these are all fine, I guess. Somebody gets to be president. Their city's going to look kind of cool. Somebody gets to be governor. They're going to, here's the president. Someone's going to be governor. They're going to have like blue text. And that's what it's for. It's not a big deal. That's phase 1. Phase 2, you're going to start seeing an event called Strongest Commander that's going to pop up. That Strongest Commander event is going to start off really simple. You're just going to recruit troops, gather resources, and I think build buildings are the 3 phases. And then eventually they're going to add in zombies. And when they add in zombies, you're also going to start killing people at the end of that. And you're going to attack cities, right? We do attack cities. That's a thing that we're going to do, is hitting people, right? We're going to set them on fire. We're going to take their resources. That way we can build our own city up to get our stats higher, right? That's a lot of phase 2. Phase 2 is where we start burning everyone because we're trying to get this number up as high as humanly possible. What number should that be? Around C26. Preferably C28 to C30, but around C26 is where you're going to want to be at the end of phase 2, which lasts quite a while, right? Phase 1's about a month, maybe 2. Phase 2 will be around 4 months to 5 months after phase 1 ends, depending, because it's about 6 months into the game before you start getting your first cross-nation events. The first things you're going to see are going to be things like Duel of Dominance, right? This event right here, you're going to start seeing that. You're going to start seeing other kind of cross-nation-y events that appear. I don't think there's any in my thing right now. So you're going to start seeing like Chaos Lands. You're going to see Global Conquest. You're going to see those specific events. Iron Blood Battlefield, I assume. When those start coming up, that means it's only a matter of time before you enter the full cycle. What the point of this game is in phase 3 is cross-nation events. So everything I mentioned before is the beginning of phase 3. But phase 3 really gets hammered home when Frenzy and Void start. So Battle Frenzy, and I mean cross-nation Battle Frenzy, not the Strongest Commander one, is just like Strongest Commander, but you're facing another nation. Some nations are going to focus in on performing well in those events. Some of them are going to just say, we don't care about Frenzy and Void, and we're going to focus on everything else. I don't care what a nation does. I do recommend you pick. 473 has a problem because they try to be the number 1 top dog in every event ever. And that means we're spending a lot of money on absolutely nothing that helps us. We ended up losing our last Void, and we spent a lot of money to lose, and that drags on people. So when you start having the ability to say, hey, we're not going to participate this event as a nation, it lets you save money and build up. And it is important. That does mean, though, bubble. Don't just leave your city wide open just because you don't care about Frenzy. That's not nice to do to people. Frenzy is an event where you can attack cities, but you're not allowed to loot resources. And all of the troops lost during the event will return at the close or the end of the event, or through healing through the special event hospital. Frenzy's kind of the event where farmers like to fight, because troop farmers, and believe me, there are plenty of troop farmers out there, they don't want to lose their troops. I think that's dumb. That's what troops are for. I mean, obviously, I don't have much troops at all, ever, at any point, right? If you actually look at my general power ranking, I'm at 111. I don't care about troops. That's not BP. That doesn't stop me from being in the top 20 as far as actual power in this nation is concerned. What matters most in all of these is getting enough strength to be able to participate. So that's why I made the Path to Power series, is to get you to the place where you are that strong. When you hit various milestones, you're going to notice a power either creep, increase, or decrease. So what do I mean by that? By the time you start your cross-nation events, you have about a year before your next merger, or your first merger, I should say. Because it generally will happen about a year and 6 months into the game. So once you start that, you're going to start losing people left and right. You're going to be purging your nation a lot. You're going to be attacking people to try to keep up with all the Joneses, basically. And you're going to want to have around 400 to 450% attack value for the first merger a year and a half into the game. So, shameless plug now, if you watch my Path to Power video, you will be able to hit that goal well before that year and a half is up. Especially if you're starting from day one. If you're starting from behind, it will catch you up. You will be ahead of the curve. That's what that is. By your second merger, you're going to want to have about 700% attack value, which is going to be a lot harder because, again, another year to a year and a half from the first merger, you're going to want to be around 700% because that is going to be the floor. And I'm telling you these values not because these are the only ones that matter, right? These ones do too. So for the first one, right, 400% attack with around 20% increases and decreases damage is a really solid start. By merger 2, these need to be at least 30%, preferably 40%. I've still got room to grow in the reduced damage realm. My increases damage is above or ahead of the game, which is really nice. That's what you need to do by that period. Then you enter the final cycle. So, again, phase 3 is cross-nation. This is where you're fighting with the people that you started the game with. But the true point of this game hits when mergers happen and your nation merges with 2 other nations. And at that point is when the game fundamentally changes for the rest of time. You're going to enter a cycle and a very long cycle of basically constantly trying to stay ahead of the curve so that when the next merger happens, you don't die. And people don't just randomly burn your city constantly to get you out of the game and make your life a living hell. That's the reality. And that's what we're doing right now in our nation, right? We're killing the casual players who weren't keeping up with their city every single day. There's a reason why I've burned these people's farms. It's not because I particularly need to, although this guy's not even a farm. It's not because I need the kills. It's because that city is too weak to participate in cross-nation events, and it has troops that can give points. That's why we're attacking them. That's why we go in here. That's why we do this every day. If this person had watched my series and had been keeping up with their city, they'd be at least C32, C34 by now. And, their attack value would be double what it is. And that's what's important about the game, right? Is keeping up with everything else going on so that you can continue to socialize with the people you enjoy socializing with. And if that's a little harsh, I'm sorry. But here we are 2 years into the game. This guy has 145% long range attack and 151% mid range attack and 158% melee attack. This guy's not going to be a benefit to our nation. He's too weak. If he went to attack somebody, this is what happens to him. And 1.6 million troops, he should have at least 10k kills if he was in a good city. So, my call out. The point of this game is a little tricky because the jaded part of me wants to tell you the point of this game is to go through these events so Camel can strip you of money, and that's the truth. That is what they're doing. They want you to spend money on these events so that they can continue to be a profitable business. And I can't necessarily fault them for that, even though I don't agree with all of their monetization practices. But for us, the people who are addicted to this game, that answer is a little different. I can only tell you why I play. And I play because of this guy right here. I play to hang out with Champ. And I play to hang out with Eve. I didn't even know she got C36. I'm kind of happy for her. And I hang out here to play with Ms. Rabbit and everyone else in this alliance, right? Stu. We chat every morning. Every day. We usually hang out, talk about something. Most of the time it's, my kid or, what we did the day before lunch, things like that. Most of the time it's those things. But every so often we have a productive conversation about, I don't know, something. And like why I started spending a long time ago, when I did spend, I haven't spent in a minute. But when I did spend, the reason I started was because I wanted to keep the people safe and playing that I was socializing with at that time. That's why I started spending in this game. Everyone's going to have a different reason for spending, right? Champ wants to be the best, and ain't nothing going to stop him. And then you have people like Miss Rabbit who don't spend anything and never have. People are out there. You have all different kinds. Making sure that you're able to protect them, making sure that you're able to keep up with them, making sure you're not the weak link. That's the best thing that I can say would be, I think, for me at least, the healthiest reason to play this game. Because when I'm playing this game to win, I don't like who I am. So take it with a grain of salt. Enjoy some of that information. I hope it helps somebody somewhere. But at some point, you're going to be in phase 4, where you're in the cycle of merger and murder. And when you get there, decide if this game is worth it to you. And preferably decide all of these things from this video before you start putting money into this game. Because there is something called the sunk cost fallacy, which means the more money you put into something, the harder it is to give up. It's the best way to put it. So for me, it's hard to quit because I spent money on this game. It is an addiction, and we're all addicted to some degree by playing this game. So hopefully this is your AOZ Anonymous video. I hope that I can inspire some people to not spend as much money and to just focus on hanging out with the people you care about hanging out with. And if that doesn't sound like fun to you, or if you're not having fun with the people you're spending time with, go make a city on a new nation. Don't spend money and see where you get to, because there's a lot of fun to be had in those first few phases. There's nothing wrong with just being a phase 1 and 2 player, or a phase 3 player, or a phase 4 player. There's nothing wrong with just being in those phases that you prefer. And I recommend doing that. So I'll cut the video off here. I appreciate your time. Thank you for this unorthodox question and video. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. Really helps the channel out a lot. And I'll see you on the next one.